My regards. There are questions that always come to my mind and I ask them and say, what could have happened? And today I always say that there was a shot before the 10 o'clock goal, Ramos goal, which was a cross shot and Modric was pressing and the Atletico Madrid player chose to take it for a corner because his team was very strong, perhaps with set pieces, and he saw the issue as safer than what he was trying to do. He keeps it or passes it to a colleague close to him, and always distracts him by saying, what if he did something different? What if the man supposedly calmed the ball? If Modric had recovered it, would it have become a goal? It is not necessary? If this corner was played for Ramos and there was a player on the corner with Courtois in the goal, it certainly would not have been a goal. What would have actually happened? What if Ramos' goal had not been scored? This goal, which Sergio Ramos says is the greatest moment in his career, and the goal he talked about is all I remember with a smile. The goal transformed Ramos to another place in football, even though he had won the World Cup and the Euro before this. If this goal had not been scored, what would have happened? The first thing is, I think Perez would have given up on the existing project and the existing players because he had been trying since 2009 and had not succeeded. That means 5 seasons would have been without a tangible result, a round of 16 season, 3 semifinals, and the last in the final in the derby against Atletico Madrid. I think he would have made major changes. It is unlikely that, for example, Casemiro would have been sold immediately at that time and he would have bought older, more ready players with the old mentality of Florentino Perez, and it is not unlikely that Benzema would have been sold, and basically in April of that season there was talk that Real Madrid was thinking about selling Benzema in the summer of 2014 and bringing in his place was a different striker, and his name was even linked at that time to Arsenal and Manchester United. Perhaps in the summer Casillas would have been sold immediately, because the Atletico Madrid goal was a responsibility for him. But the alternative would not have been Keylor, who came after the World Cup. On the contrary, the alternative at that time might have been a goalkeeper. It is very large in football because when Perez gets excited he starts buying superstars. In short, names that were important in achieving the European treble that Zidane achieved would most likely not have existed after that summer, as the culture of Real Madrid playing to the last second. It might not have existed, because this goal established this culture, this goal, without which Real Madrid would not have achieved the 13th, the 12th, the 14th, and all of these titles. This goal changed Perez's position in football, and strengthened Real Madrid's position in football, in a sense. If he had not come, we would have been living in a second football, a parallel world. Simeone, for example, if he had won the Champions League at that time, he would have achieved the double, and at that time, if Atletico Madrid had won the Champions League, he would have been in his place again in football. Because most likely 2016 was he will come back to win and be victorious because, to a large extent, Real Madrid would not have played in the 2016 final in the first place because he would not have the European culture, the self-confidence, and even if he had played with Real Madrid he would not have played with him with the same tension, the same obsession and the same fear. Simeone could have achieved 2 Champions Leagues. With Atletico Madrid in 3 years, it was possible to make Atletico Madrid on the global stage in the first row only, meaning in the row in which there are 3 or 4 clubs, but it also made many people say that Simeone is the greatest coach in history. He accomplished an amazing and terrible achievement in a league throughout its history, dominant. There are 2 teams, Real Madrid and Barcelona, but what Simeone came up with is something completely different. He made a statement that we will not all forget. This pain will not go away, this sadness will not go away, this is a lie, and time will make me forget it. This wound has become eternal in Atletico Madrid, 2 teams whose fates have changed. Yes, Atletico is still one of the leading European teams in general, and it won the league after that, but it would have been on a second level, the same thing. Real Madrid might not have had the European prestige that we live in now, because if in 2014 what the champions had achieved, Barcelona had achieved in 2015. Imagine the moral and psychological blow that Perez and his team would have received. It would have changed the history of football, and I think, what would have always happened if the player who took the ball to the corner had not taken it to the corner and dispersed it in a different way? Can you imagine how? We lived 9 years differently, with a different vision, with a different view. It was a decision, a moment, and then a precise execution by Modric and a fabulous header by Ramos and Atletico Madrid. He was forced to scatter his players in the penalty area, because the Madridistas had a large numerical density, so they did not stop players on the two corners of the goal. At the time, Atletico Madrid was always superior to him with set pieces, but what killed him in 2014 and in 2016 was set pieces against Real Madrid. Certainly his historical place is preserved, but any historical place needs these small moments. Zidane's flying goal was saved by Casillas in 2002 in the same match. Ramos' goal here, a moment here, and art is to catch the moment in order to build history.